fancy planter. Oh. Oh, North Bengal. Oh, who's in North Bengal? Oh, I see. Oh.
Not exactly, but similar.
Did you guys go to karma yoga today?
No, I didn't.
Did you?
I did.
You did! I'm so proud of you, Henry!
Yeah,
Henry went to karma yoga today. Good job.
Man,
Where we do free labor for the Vedantists.
That's a cute name.
it's not free labor. It's not
It is. I know. I was just messing.
We call it the Seva program. Yeah.
Yeah. The Ramakrishna machine.
Yeah. Okay, this is on. Let me get my thing going here.
Oh, you guys have met?
Yeah, it's really kind of.
Oh, very
Dayā. Hari Om Tat Sat. I have a few. You probably don't have your sheets from last time, but you do. Okay, I only have two. You can share. You guys share. You can pass a few back. Pass those back. Thank you, dear.
You're good, yeah?
I forgot the print. Sorry, I've been. Joy Mo. Om Mangalam Gurudevaya Devya Matriksha Mangalam Mangalam Bhakta Vrindebhyo Sarva Lokaya Mangalam Stapakaya Chadharmasya Sarva Dharma Sarupine Avatar Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Reva Param Brahman Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sarashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Ashmarachara Prayantam Vande Gurum Paramparam Om Bhadrakali Namo Nityam Saraswati Namo Namaha Vera Viranga Vedanta Vijastana Evacha Sri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Jai Ma. So continuing from our discussion on the Kālī Sahasranāma, the 1,000 names of Kali. That's a very auspicious period. Last weekend we didn't have our meeting. We had our 31st anniversary Phalahārni Kali Pujya festival, which went very beautifully. And yesterday, maybe into today, is Dhumavati Jayanti, so it's an important holiday, a holy day for a unique form of the goddess. She's here, Dhumavati, fourth from the end there, one of the Dashmahavidyas. And tomorrow is Ganga Dusera or Ganga Dasara. So it's a day when the Mother Ganga came down, and I'm not sure if it was the day she left heaven or the day she arrived on earth. I'm not one of those, either the exit from heaven for her descent or when she arrived on earth. It's very important. If you get a chance to bathe in the Ganga tomorrow, all of you. Sometimes we go to the beach just because the Ganga flows into the ocean here. So with great faith. In the early years when Ma was first brought over, and the installation Pranapatistana was done by Harudan Chakrabarti, the priest of Dakshineshwar. There's also a water pot that's installed along with the deity called a ghat or kalasham, kalash. And we had gathered, we had a bunch of water we had a bunch of Ganga water. We said, when we fill it, we can do it with Ganga water. He goes, no, we'll go to the ocean and fill it with the ocean, which is unusual to fill the kalasham with salt water, because ours is with salt water. He said, no, the Ganga flows. This is your local body of water. This is the ocean. Where, especially at that time, Kali Mandir was 300 feet from the ocean, closer to the ocean back then. It was really on the bank of the ocean, and the Ganga flows into it, so we consider it like Ganga. So maybe tomorrow I'll take a dip if the crowd's not too bad. Summer has started, so we'll see. So we last week the names we dealt with we dealt with three main names. Let me find them here. Where is it? Bhavya, Bhavya, and Bhayapaha, right? And we dealt, and they have an alliterative quality, right? Bhavya, and Bhavya is like something's existence, and then Bhavya is is all its existence itself. One's ontological, one's phenomenological. You could say perhaps phenomenal, right? One is existence itself, and the other is everything that happens within existence, experiences, feelings, emotions that have existence, right? So that called, and then bhayapaha is the one who destroys or removes fear. And so we spent a lot of the time last week talking about where fear comes from, right? And mentioning from the Upanishads like that. And this comes, what's not shown in the previous verse, I don't think this sheet that I gave you has. It has a bunch of other names. A lot of names that are dealing with, these are names for Kali, but dealing with Kali as the Shakti of Shiva, or the Shakti of Indra, or the Shakti of Vishnu, right? Name like Rudrani, or things like that, right? Sharvani, different names like that. What's the other one? There's a bunch. I don't have them here, but like this, and it's playing, and a lot of that was playing on both that is that two different ideas of what the Shakti of something means. Could be the wife of Rudra, or the wife of Vishnu, or the wife of Indra, right? Or the energy, the very the Shakti, as in not the consort, the supportive consort, but the Shakti of, without which there is no, without my energy, I'm not here, type of thing, right? Without the Shakti of Vishnu can't do anything, like that. And then implying some of these names that from a pure Shakti tradition, that it's Shakti itself that takes both the forms of Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and his Shakti. So this flavor of these names will influence, I think, the names that come now. We have to see them in the light of this Shiva Shakti idea, and that Shiva and Shakti are both manifestations of Shakti itself, right? So that the duality or the polarity of Shiva and Shakti both come, in certain sense, from Shakti itself. So Shakti becomes Shiva and Shakti. This is kind of the background idea. So the names, actually, we'll see. My idea was to go through all the names of verse 38. Sometimes it means I get through one name. So sometimes I could go quickly. We'll see what they are. And I think I gave all separately, I think, this time. I usually forget to do that. Kartrī, kartrī, hartrī. And if you were to turn these into mantras, O Kali, kartrīyai namaha, tāmasī namaha. There's the ways to convert it like that to names like this. But these are in their simple form. So kartrī, hartrī, kartrī, hartrī, pālayitrī, sarvāni, don't step on. Please don't step on. Excuse me, don't step on. Yeah, just put there. Yeah, thank you. Śarvarī, tāmasī, dayā, tamisrā, tāmasī, sthāṇuḥ, sthirā, dhīrā, tapasvinī. So this is interesting. There's in this, those of you who have it, there's a name that's repeated twice, and this happens sometimes in Sahasranamas. Actually, every Sahasranāma that I know of, except one, has repetitions, right? And Udikas, so like sometimes even the Shatanamas, the 100 name hymns, will have the same name twice, and so people say, "Oh, that's a mistake." Most likely, right? Why, if you could make 1,000 names of a deity, why make the name twice, right? Anybody can guess the one Sahasranāma that doesn't have repetitions? It was the one written by the goddess of the alphabet, right? That's Lalita Sahasranāma does not have a single repetition, right? And that's considered one of its glories because it's written by the Vakadevis. These are the forms, the goddesses, aspects of Saraswati herself. So it's extremely sophisticated, no repetitions. That's considered one of its glories, and also a lot of extremely long names, right? And it's like it has the most names that are 16 syllables long. That's considered one of its glories because Lalita Tripurasundi 16 is considered full, right? So to create a bunch of names, and also there's no chas. Sometimes in order to have a meter, people put in cha, it means and, right? So if it doesn't fit the meter, put cha in there. So sometimes some verses have 3 chas in it, right? Because you want to put these names, three chas or repeated words. So maybe some meaning is there. Maybe why is it twice, right? I sometimes think if these are ecstatic utterances, right? Is like if I go, oh goddess, you are wonderful, you are glorious, you are fierce, you are wonderful. glorious, you can repeat yourself in when you're praying like this, right? To have up with 1,000 unique ideas, not easy. But in this verse, in this cluster of verses, the same names repeated twice in the same verse, right? And so this is tāmasī, or tāmasī, yeah. Kartrī, hartrī, pālayitrī, śarvarī, tāmasī, dayā, tamisrā, tāmasī, sthāṇuḥ, sthirā, dhīrā, tapasvinī. So it makes me think we should underline why this idea of tāmasī, which means darkness. Tamas. We get tamas, all the different qualities of tamaguna, or the darkness itself. So you have to think, and this cluster of names has a lot of. It has the theme of tamas in a certain sense. So we can think perhaps, because we're trying to think, maybe it's like sharma, like you say tāmasī dayā. Maybe tāmasī dayā is one word, but it's not. Or tamisrā tāmasī, maybe that's one word, one name, but the endings don't match. It doesn't allow it, so they have to be the same name twice, so we can contemplate it. So kartrī. Kartrī means, and this trī ending, a lot of these words mean she who is. And often we translate Kālī Sahasranāma as she who is this, she who is this. But it doesn't really say that, just simply, here it literally says she, right? So it's meant to make sure that the forms are like this. So kartrī, she who is the agent or the doer, right? Thakur would say, like, he didn't like to use certain words. Like he was allergic to the word. The idea that he was a doer, he didn't like. The karta or something. I think where he didn't like. I didn't like the idea that I'm a doer. God's a doer. That famous Chakolicho Mariche song, where it says, "You are the machine. I am the machine. You are the operator." Right? Like this. Right? That I do whatever you make me do. You are the doer. I am the instrument. I am the instrument, and you are the operator, I guess, is right, like this. So, it's a common thing. So here, this is in this cluster, Ma, the Divine Mother, the goddess, right, the Mahadevi, but specifically Kali in this hymn, she's the one that's doing everything, right? So it comes from karaka, which means instrument in general, the instrument of an action, the doer of an action. So we'd probably translate that as agent. That's how I usually think of it. But it has a secondary meaning of creator, right? And another Swami Bhajanananda, who gave a translation of this mantra, translated "she who creates," right? But I think it's like she's who's the agent. So I guess, and we think of it, it's like, this is creation, so she's the one who's doing. I guess in that sense we like that, right? Right. Also, the kartrī in a ritual action, in a Vedic, it's a Vedic term. It has a Vedic antecedent language. So in a Vedic ceremony, the one who the main doer, the main person performing the ritual, that's called the kartrī, right? So she is in a ritual, right? She's the one that's doing, right? So of course we could say, if I'm doing the ritual, then I'm not the one doing it. And we can sometimes feel that those of us who do puja, we sometimes feel that we're not doing the puja. I remember Pravrajaka Gita Prana, who is a pujari expert, and we talk a lot about, somebody I can talk to puja about, she says that sometimes when you're in the zone, some of the puja just happens, and you feel that she's doing, right? You're kind of out of the way. There's a mantra that says, only a deva can worship a deva. Right, only God can worship God, right? So we have to, a lot of the rituals are to get us out of the way. So she's the doer. So we can have it like that type of emotional, poetic type of thing, or when these verses deal a lot with like the nature of the world itself, and in this world itself, of this whole thing is created out of ritual. This whole, from like Purusha Shuktam, the whole thing at a sacrifice. She's the one doing it. So she's the one doing it, right? This going back to the bhavyam bhavya, right? And she's also the thing itself. She's the world and the one that runs and does the world, right? So we can think, Ma is the doer. Actually, even the image, Okay, I'm looking for a picture of Kali as if there's not a giant statue, living statue of Kali. The way it happens. So in the image of Ma is standing on Shiva, or sometime in union, sitting on Shiva and union with Shiva, that's showing that she in reverse position. This shows one of the iconographic messages of this image is that she is the doer, right? She's in control. She's on top. She's the one managing everything, right? So this is different. We have to think, if she's the doer, how do we go back to the previous verses where she's Rudrani and Shivani and Indrani, right? So she's not. So there is not. She's not the wife of Rudra and the wife of Vishnu and the wife of Shiva, right? She's the doer. So she's Shiva, she's Rudra, she's Vishnu, she's Indra, right? She's the doer. She's not the energy of the doer or some aspect of the doer. So this gives, I think, commentary on those previous names. Hartrī, we use hara, right? This means has two. The main meaning here is that of has two meanings, right? We get the word hara and hari from a similar root, that which destroys, right, and that which takes, steals, right? So like Shiva is hara, so he's a destroyer. We think, oh, he's a destroyer, right? But also, like we also say manohara, right? One who is the way interpreted, one who steals the mind, one who destroys the mind, or one who steals the mind, right? He by God's beauty, the mind stole, and sometimes the word hara and hari has been destroyed. So sometimes we can see even in English poetics, we could like, oh, you like somebody's so beautiful it steals your mind or it destroys you. We sometimes use that kind of, there's a shared language there, right? But so she's the doer and she's the destroyer, or she's another. Hartrī means destroyer. It means one who removing. It means stealing, right? It means to sever or to cut off. So like perhaps liberating, could be that way. It could be a thief is one thing, but almost like a stronger word, like seizing, right? You like, it's not just like something like somebody stole something. You seize something. It's a overwhelming, both destroying and stealing. The feeling of being overwhelmed, right? Seizing. And so we see names like this hartrī itself, like in the Shiva Sahasranāma, and Shiva Purana has this Bhutta hartrī, one who destroys ghosts, right? So that name is, so we see that name, but she's hartrī, right? Shiva is destroyer of ghosts in that name, but here she's the one that destroys. So she's that power, right? That severs, that cuts, that liberates, that destroys, that kills, as well as the one that creates and acts and does everything. Then pālayitrī. So pal, sorry, I have to make it, there's different A's and my tongue's not behaving itself today. So it's long A. Pal is to protect. So she's the one, she does everything. She destroys everything, right? Or takes everything, but she also protects. So what do you protect? You protect from. We need protection from those who are trying to kill us and hurt us, or those who are trying to steal things from us. So here she's she's the thief and the one who protects us from the thief. She's the destroyer and the one who protects us from harm, right? She's a herder and the one who protects us. What she's doing, because she is kartrī, she's the doer. She's the only one doing everything, right? So this pālayitrī, flavors of the word to contemplate: protecting, guarding, right? We have this term like digpalas. We have the guardians of the 10 directions, right? Or like that. That's a common use of the term. And we also say pālaya, protect. There's mantras like that, right? Guarding, right? But along with that, there's subtle ideas in here. Guarding, protecting, but also like when you protect something and you guard something, we have this experience. Of course, we can hire somebody or a strong person to protect us, but it's some people's nature to protect, right? We protect what we love, right? That's the thing. So like a mother protects a child, or we protect our home, protect our loved ones, right? So this pālayitrī has a meaning of like cherishing and loving, right? So we protect, we cherish our children, therefore we protect, and therefore has an extended meaning of like maintaining, right? So the previous thing she destroys, she's also protecting and maintaining, right? Why? Out of love, right? So these are beautiful things to contemplate: protecting, guarding, cherishing, maintaining, destroying, removing, stealing, severing, seizing, taking away, doing, creating, agent. Just like you think it's like if you were to an overwhelmed experience, right, in front of an experience of being in front of the mystery beyond our comprehension, right? What would you say? How would you describe it? These are ways to describe that great mystery, right? śarvarī. śarvarī is a beautiful name. This is the one that's been buzzing in my mind the last few days. śarvarī, Swami Bhajanananda translated as she who gives rest, right? So that's a beautiful, but it has, that's one of the meanings, a secondary meaning from its core meaning, which is nighttime. śarvarī means the night. It means, but like night, like the romantic idea of night, what night means, like moonlight, right? The twilight, right? That which is of the night is another way of saying nocturnal, right? It's the moonlit night, right? The moon of the night, right? And it has in certain texts it's used to represent women itself, because there is a symbolism between night and day, right? The sun and the moon, right? In the gendered polarized language of the tantras and like that, we see the sun. The sun is given masculine qualities, or identified with masculine qualities, and the day and night and the moon is given feminine qualities in this structure, right? And so in the day, and these are also connected in yoga to the breath and Ida and Pingala and all this type of stuff, right? But the day is harsh. It's harsh, and it's drying. It's heating, right? But it's the language. It's the world of business. I think you get things done. You work during the day, right? The nighttime, you see everything clearly, theoretically. Yeah, we can be blinded by the sun too, right? But we see everything theoretically clearly, right? As the sun goes down, and the moon comes up, the realm of the moon comes, right? Things change. You can't see everything clearly. One of our friends said he called it everything is a smear of existence. That's his language, right? Where you don't know, like, right now I know where you are, and I know where she is, and I know where I am. But at nighttime, especially dressed in a black shirt, like, is that you? And I see you, but I don't know where you start and where she starts. You're both dressed in black, right? Or where the bush starts and where an animal starts. Everything is unclear, right? And that is the realm of mystery, right? And of intuition, right? So the śarvarī has that flavor of those type of feelings of the nighttime, intuition, of emotion, of mystery, right? So it means she who is Kali is śarvarī. So it means, of course, poetically, the night and all that symbolizes, right? The feminine, of course, with all that's in our symbolic perspective, right? But that means Kali is a night goddess, and you can see she is the dark goddess, right? And she's worshipped on the dark moon, right? And she's worshipped at night generally, right? So she is the goddess of the night, or the dark god. We even say, "Oh, Kali, the black goddess," right? We use that type of language sometimes. śarvarī. And then you have the next name, which the name that's repeated twice, tāmasī. Tāmasī means she who is darkness, right? But again, tāmasī means darkness, and tamaguna, we know that term, right? But it also means night, right? So another name. So here's another name that means night. She who is the night, and she who is the darkness of the night, right? But you see, to think tamas is darkness is bad. right? Darkness is bad. Or tamaguna. We think of the three gunas: tamas, rajas, and sattva. And if we give him a moral classification, we put tamas in the bottom, and it was ignorant. We even label it as inertia and ignorance, as tamas. And then above that is, or I can't say it once again, you see I'm structuring it already, hierarchical, right? Rajas, which is activity and momentum and passion, to give it a moral quality. And then sattva is purity and peacefulness, right? Also like goodness, to give it a moral category, right? So we sometimes think, oh, there's sattva is the best, right? Rajas is in between, and tamas is its lowest, right? But she is tamas, right? You can say, oh, then you know what? Daytime is good and nighttime is bad. She's nighttime, right? She's all those things also. She's night, right? So she's night, but she's also, tamas also means ignorance, so she's also ignorance. Yadevi sarvabhuteshu brante rupena samsita. That goddess who exists in all beings in the form of confusion, right? So she's also ignorance, like this. Also, as a noun, tamasī can be used as a noun rather than adjective, and that it's like we would say, oh, that person's tamasic. Tamasī is a tamasic person, right? That means, what does that mean? It's used in, I don't know, in Hindi, I don't know how it's used, but in Sanskrit, it's like a low, mean, degraded, fallen person, right? So that's an interesting way to say. If this tamasī means that, when you see a low, degraded, immoral, fallen person, right, you go, Om Tamasya Namaha, right? That is also the Divine Mother's form, right? She's all forms. And actually today, as we contemplate Dhumavati is a perfect, I haven't thought about that. Dhumavati could be seen as the goddess as pure darkness, as pure smoke, as pure ignorance, right? As the divine radiance of like that, right? So a low, mean, degraded person, or it could also be as an insult as a lazy person, right? An indolent person, right? So she's all that, right? So then you get a name. The next name is, what's the next name? Dayā. Right? You go from ignorant and darkness to dayā. Dayā means compassion, right? She who is compassion, or he who is compassionate. Actually, that's the thing. Which one version, I have the copied and paste from an existing translation. She who is compassionate, right? But you could also say, actually, she who is compassion. And we've mentioned this almost every talk, but I have to always go back to it, that when we think of these as qualities of the goddess, right, as her like she is compassionate, she is beautiful, she is angry, she is dark, she is black, she is like loving, whatever, however you would like that, right? So you can say you can say those things about her. But these are also talking about describing her, trying to describe her indescribable ontological reality. So she is dark, she is compassion, she is angry, she is beautiful, she is like that, rather than she is compassionate. She is the creator, or she is creation. Like that. You have to always go back and forth between these things. So dayā, of course, that's a beautiful. We all know. I hope all of you feel compassion and then feel that people are compassionate towards you, right? The term dayā comes from da, which means to give. In many of our words, we add da to something is the giver of something. So what is it? What is it being given? Right? And usually in the Sanskrit text, this describes pity, kindness, and mercy. Right? That compassion. We mean compassion, right? And it means that you feel. What's the term when you feel somebody else's suffering? Empathy. Right? The feeling for the suffering. If not feeling people suffering, feeling for people suffering, right? Suffering others. And it's considered, I mean, it's not just Hinduism where compassion is a good thing, right? You can imagine that if you don't find that across religions, even, every line, every chapter of the Quran starts, Allah the merciful, right? And the compassionate, right? The loving and the compassion, mercy and compassion is a quality we attribute to God, and a quality that humans are supposed to develop in response to God, or to embody and manifest God's qualities. So one line that I was thinking about, this is from the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikhs, right? You have no compassion. If you have no, he's critiquing. You have no compassion. Therefore, the Lord's light does not shine in you. So compassion is a sign of God's presence in you, right? Right. Compassion is God's presence in you, right? And so she's compassion, and she's compassionate, and she's the one that's compassionate, right? So we could think of Ma is merciful. Let's think of it this way: Ma is mercy, right? Ma is the merciful. Now, if Ma is merciful, I mean, oh Ma, you're merciful, right? Show your mercy upon me. And she is mercy, but she's also, anytime you see mercy, that's her presence in somebody. So when somebody shows mercy, when you show mercy, that's her, right? And Ma makes one merciful, right? There should be a response. I think it's a legitimate criteria for spiritual development. If somebody's not developing mercy, it makes me nervous, perhaps. Right. There seems to be, there's no surefire way to know if somebody is developing spiritually. But I think hopefully that a decrease in selfishness and an increase in compassion and mercy seems to be a simple criteria. I think the previous president of Ramakrishna Missions, Swami Bhajanananda, there's a famous, I think they've made bumper sticker type of things of him, where it's like, how do you know if you're progressing spiritually? And that's his basic, are you becoming more merciful? Do you care about people suffering? Like that should be he really emphasized the spiritual humanism of spiritual life, that it makes you like this, So Sri Ramakrishna, he often would ask somebody, he'd ask himself. I mean, we see even his own experiences, and in the tradition of Sri Ramakrishna, we can ask ourselves this: is it Maya or Daya? Right? That's the thing. Is it Maya or Daya? Right? And Swami Bhajanananda, from the parking lot, on his phone, sent me his translation of Sri Ramakrishna's own definition. Sri Ramakrishna's definition of it's Maya or Daya, because if she's compassion, that means, what's the difference between compassion and selfishness, right? If I'm simply loving what's mine, or who's mine, right? Of course, that's natural. We should. It's very natural to love your things and to love your own people, right? And to love your mother, to love her children, children to love their mother, right? Citizens to love their country, believers to love their religion and the religious leader. That's a very natural thing, right? But the question is, that could also be a definition of selfishness, an extension of selfishness. So Sri Ramakrishna, sometimes he has some sharp things to make us analyze our own emotions, right, and attachments, right? So Sri Ramakrishna said, my things, people say, loving all those things only is called Maya. I mean, not just you shouldn't love those things. If you only love those things, your things, that is called Maya. Loving everyone is called Daya, right? Loving my things or my people is Maya, or only my people. Not like you should. If you love your children, you're in Maya. No, you love your children, you're a good parent, a good friend, right, and a good citizen, right? Right. But loving only your children, only your country, only your people, right? That is Maya. That is Maya. My things, people say. Loving all those things only is called Maya. Loving everyone is called Daya. I only love the people of the Brahma Samaj. He's talking in a group of Brahma Samaj people. I only love those in my family. That's called Maya. Loving only the people of your own country. That's called Maya. Loving the people of all countries. the people of all religions. This comes from dayā, from devotion. It's interesting, Sri Ramakrishna connects dayā, compassion, comes from devotion. Right? Devotion, compassion, loving all comes from dayā, comes from devotion. So if dayā is one of your criteria to see how you're doing spiritually, right? It's also a way of seeing where your devotion is coming. There's as you know, in the middle of, I'm so accustomed to speak on the Bhagavatam for so many years. Everything I think I see through. Every time I read anything, verses from the Bhagavatam come to my mind. That was my specialty for so many years. My contemplation for so many years. Not specialty, contemplation for many years, right? So in their opening scene, there's a in the opening chapters, there's a frightening scene of after Yudhisthira has left the body, and who's Yudhisthira's son is named. Anybody know who's the successor of Yudhisthira? I'm embarrassed. After me setting myself up to know the. Maybe it's I think maybe it's Yudhisthira. Not Arjuna. No. Who the This is very embarrassing. After my big setup of how much I know Bhagavatam, the basic story of the Mahabharata and Bhagavatam I'm forgetting. Maybe it's Yudhisthira himself. Maybe I'm thinking of Yudhisthira, not the son of Yudhisthira. Who encounters a demon Kali? It's Yudhisthira, right? Parikshit. That okay. That after thank you, Parikshit. Yeah. So he after Krishna ascends and disappears from the world, things begin to go bad. Little things go bad. It makes him think that maybe Kali Yuga has started. Right? It says that Krishna's presence absorbed the first 5,000 years of Kali Yuga. Right? So as soon as Krishna left the world, Kali Yuga started in a big way, and the big way is listed. Tell me if Kali Yuga was in your house at all. It says that something is that trees weren't giving good fruit anymore, right? And that children talk back to their parents. These are the two things. The fruit thing I don't know, but the Kali Yuga is fully in my house. Things like there's a couple of things like if you get a little thing to know. So let me see if Kali Yuga started. I should take Parikshit took a roundabout through his kingdom, the known world at the time, right? And in it, there's a symbolic meeting where he meets the demon Kali, the personification of this age, right? Not the goddess Kali, but the demon Kali, right? And he comes across a bull and a cow. The bull is standing on the bull. 3 legs are broken. He's standing on 1 leg, right? And the cow is simply crying. And the demon Kali is dressed like a king. But he's not a king. He's a low-class person dressed like a king, beating the bull. And then some commentary is given. This verse is from the commentary of what the scene is, right? And so it says that the bull is called dharma, right? And a righteousness, religion, like this. And the cow is Prithvi, the earth, Bhudevi, the goddess earth, right? So the scene is horrifying. And so that's the scene, and it says, so there's only 1 leg that it's standing on, that is satya, that truthfulness is one of the legs of religion, right? And Sri Ramakrishna said that in Kali Yuga, the last leg of religion is satya, right? If you hold on to truth, then you can find God. Without holding on to truth, everything is lost. So don't hold on to truth for sure. That's why Sri Ramakrishna was obsessive, observant on his truthfulness, right? So it says, tapaha saucham dayā satyam. Iti padaha krite kritaha. This is from the verse 17 of the first chapter of the Bhagavatam. No, chapter 17 of book 1 of the Bhagavatam, sorry. Verse 24. Tapaha saucham dayā satyam. Tapa, austerity. Saucham, purity or cleanliness. Dayā, compassion, mercy. And satyam, satya, truthfulness. Iti padaha krite kritaha. In this yuga, how do I say? These are the legs of dharma. These are the 4 legs of dharma in Krita Yuga, the age of Kritya. It seems that 3 legs are broken by adharma in this age, right? Originally these are the 4 legs, but in Kali Yuga, it seems that these 3 legs have been broken, right? It says, where is it? Adharma amshaye trayaha bhagnaha smaya sangha madhai tavaha. These adharma, the 3 legs have been broken by adharma, right? And what are and what has broken them, right? Very interesting. It says smaya, which means pride, right? Sangha, here sangha means association. It means promiscuous mixing. It's a way of saying too much connection with opposite sex and things like that. It means it's an uncareful mixing. Sangha, connection, right? And madhai means intoxication, right? So so austerity, purity, compassion, truthfulness, these are the legs of Dharma in the age of Kritya. It seems that the 3 legs are broken by the adharma of pride, bad company or intimate company, and intoxication, right? So by saying these are the 4 legs of religion, austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, right? These are the qualities of the soul. These are our natural qualities, right? And certain things cover those qualities, right? So we have to be careful about the things that cover the soul's natural qualities, right? One of the qualities is dayā. Dayā is a natural quality of the soul. So what names have we did so far? Kartrī, the doer; hartrī, the destroyer, remover; pālayitrī, the protector; śarvarī, she who is night; tāmasī, she who is darkness, right? And tamas and low, like that. Dayā, she who is compassionate. It's kind of a weird name to stick right here, but I think it has meaning, right? And then the next name is tamisrā. Tamisrā, like the previous name, tāmasī and śarvarī, has a similar meaning of nighttime, right? The word tamas is there. It means night, but it means like a dark night, right? It means darkness, dark night. She who is full of darkness, right? Mishra also means mixed, so it has some of those meaning. It's also, just for details, it's also considered one of the hells. In the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, 28 hells are described, right? And there's heavens, and there's all kinds of... The Bhagavatam has a very elaborate description, and the Devi Bhagavatam has a very elaborate description of hells and heavens, right? So these one of the underworld hells is called tamisrā, right? This dark realm, right? So whatever it is, this tamisrā is generally not considered a positive name. Dayā is so positive. Tamisrā is not a positive image, right? She's compassion. She's also darkness, right? And again the name tāmasī, second time in the same name. She who is darkness, right? So tamas, right? So I think this helps the next 2 names, sthāṇuḥ and sthirā, right? I think this focusing on tamas is tamas in a good light, because she who is the moonlight, she who is the nocturnal, she who is the intuitive, she who is compassionate, she who is the doer and the protector. All these are positive descriptions, right, of tamas, of darkness, right, and tamaguna, right. So all that's it's like darkness is not all bad, right, and tamaguna is not all bad. If it wasn't for tamas, we would not have stability. Right, we could have nowhere to. If it wasn't for the most solid aspects of ourselves, of this earth, we would not be stable. Right, so even in our personality, sometimes to be, actually both names come in sthāṇuḥ and sthirā. The sta sound is there, right? And I love this sta sound because it's a great example how so many English words have a relationship to Sanskrit roots, sta. Think of our stand, still, stop, establish, right? All these sta sound has whenever you find that sta sound in Sanskrit, it's always going to have that type of meaning, right? So, let's see, we're here. Exactly and also I think it says sthāṇuḥ sthirā, right? I think that's the order. I think I put that in that. All these names, especially in the previous names, that are all Shiva Shakti names, right? A lot of names connected to Shiva in the previous slokas, right? It can't be accidental that these two names are found here, sthāṇuḥ and sthirā, in the Shiva Sahasranāma, right? These names are switched, right? In verse 1, the first name of Shiva Sahasranāma is sthirā. Second name is sthāṇuḥ. Here it's sthāṇuḥ sthirā. After a long list of describing she is these qualities of Shiva, right? So maybe there must be some reason there. I think the version of the Shiva Sahasranāma is from the Mahabharata. It's that version where this sthāṇuḥ sthira sthāṇuḥ is the first names. So these are names. These are qualities of Shiva, but we've established she is Shiva. She is the doer that is Shiva. We've never had a train come through Kali Mandir. But in construction recently, I know something unique. How was that? All right, that's excellent. So sthāṇuḥ and sthira, or sthira and sthāṇuḥ. I don't know which one. I guess I'll do it in the order in which they're presented, right? I'm going to switch it around just because it makes more sense. Because sthāṇuḥ comes from sthira. Right. The fact that they're switched is, I'm contemplating what the meaning has to be. One of our friends pointed this out. He said the meaning has to be intentional. That the same names are there in the same order, but almost the same order and in an inverted order. So we'll start with stiras. Sthira means, actually most of the names like stable, firm, immobile, right? But then we can give it other qualities like constant, or even an emotional quality like dependable, right? So you can see, these are firm, stable, constant, and dependable. These are good qualities, right? But these are qualities of tamas. These are things that are unmoving, right? So it shows that tamas is, I'm thinking darkness is not all bad, right? To give it more like personal emotional qualities, faithful, sthira, one who is faithful is sthira, one who is fixed, right? But also one who is hard-hearted. That also the sthira. I'm just using, these are found in the scripture. These are the epithets of gods and goddesses found in unyielding, right? So unyielding seems like a bad thing. Hard-hearted seems like a bad thing. But for somebody protecting, right, a child, right, or one's own spiritual life, actually to be unshakable is not bad. Even to be a little bit rough, is also not necessarily bad, right? Settled is a beautiful. I like this idea of sthira, something that's been settled, right? It also has in some texts sthira means mountain, right? And so she was connected to the mountain. I found one commentary, not commentary, but a auxiliary translation of the Shiva Sahasranāma, and the sthira name is given perennial, right? Which is what's perennial, that which is like everywhere, always everywhere, like the perennial, and that's a good quality. She's sthira. So back up to the previous name, she's sthāṇuḥ. And so Satyananda says she was established. So that's not wrong, right? But sthāṇuḥ is like if you you have a tree and you chop down a tree and you have the stump of a tree. That stump is called sthāṇuḥ, right? It's like a stump. It's like a thing the fact that you chop down a tree, it's a sin to chop down a tree, be careful. But if you chop down a tree, the fact that something won't budge, It's not easy to take the roots out of it. I mean, we've had to cut down trees, and sometimes like we cut it down to the base, and to pull out the roots would tear out the entire garden. To take out the trees, the roots of a tree, sometimes very difficult, right? So the thing that's unmoving. So she's fixed and stable, but she's also the thing that's fixed and stable. So it has that quality. Stem, a trunk, a stump, this type of thing, right? Right. Something that stands firmly, right? Once again, stand, the st sound, we're going to keep coming to like that. Stationary, right? The st sound again, right? Right. But also, it also has some esoteric, not esoteric, but some specific meaning. There is in the idea of the Mahadevi, the great goddess, which is a background of this text, the idea that there's one great goddess which all the goddesses take part of. Within that great goddess, there's Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, right, which represent Tamaguna, Rajaguna, and Sattvaguna, right? In the different stories, Mahakali gives birth to a particular deity, right, called sthāṇuḥ, right? So it's something that's born from Kali, right? But from the tamasic aspect of the Mahadevi, and again the positive aspect of tamas. Right, it's one of the. It's also in some list of the 11 rudras. One of them is sthāṇuḥ, is one of the 11 rudras, right? And there's also a sthāṇuḥ lingam, a famous Shiva lingam, one of the famous Shiva lingams in Kurukshetra called sthāṇuḥ lingam, right? And in the rudra, the sthāṇuḥ is there, and there the idea of that is a pillar, and so sthāṇuḥ remember because like she's stable and she's the thing that's stable. The thing that's stable is like the pillar, central pillar, the thing that holds the whole universe together. The central pillar of the universe is sthāṇuḥ, right? And also the Shiva lingam itself. There's several different forms of the Shiva lingam. One of the symbolic means of Shiva lingam is like a pillar itself. It's a central pillar of the universe, right? And she here it's she, and although attributes of Shiva remains motionless. Also, there's another meaning of sthāṇuḥ given in for ascetics who do like there's an austerity of staying perfectly still. That austerity is sthāṇuḥ tapasya, the type of tapasya. So like you see somebody like a yogi standing on one foot. That itself is like, but standing still, or just not moving. So the ability, even the yogic ability to remain still. Right, she's stillness, and she is the thing that remains still. Right, so that and that will make sense because the last name of this sloka is tapasvinī. She performs tapasya, so she's doing. So these are all aspects of tapasya also, right? So the thing that is stable, right, that is sthāṇuḥ, and she's stability, sthirā. She's a thing that's stable, and she's stability itself, right? She is the stability of stable things. I was trying to figure this out, and stable things themselves, right? So another way we could say she's a support. She's support, and she's what's supported. So again, this is a constant theme that she's the one who does everything, but she also is everything. This world is her, and she's doing it. So another way of saying this, back to the cluster of names, the last few discussions, she's Shiva and Shakti, right? She's subject and object. Right. Then the next name is dhīrā. Dhīrā has a very similar name, sthāṇuḥ, sthirā, dhīrā. Dhīrā also means also firm. It means strong, brave. Right, but the more common use is like grave, serious, patient, deep, right? So deep these are all good qualities, right? Right, enduring, right, wise. And the Gita one, I know this name jumps out because of when I first studied Bhagavad Gita. There's our teacher. He says to know a verse means to memorize it. So we had to memorize verses, right? And the first verse he always taught is from the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, verse 13. Dhīras tatramoyate as dehinosmin yada dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dharantara Praptira dhīras tatra namuyati. Of course, I learned this when I was 16. So the fact I memorized it when I was 16 and then forgot it when I was 20. So I have to look at it. I have too many verses in my head. But this, it says that it talked about how an embodied soul moves from body to body and from childhood to youth to old age. And at the time of death, one takes on another body. Right? Just as in this body, we go from childhood to youth to old age, at the time of death, we take on another body. So that's common. We experience, that's a proof of reincarnation. In our own life, we experience reincarnation. We've been through so many bodies in this life, right? So at the time of death, we take another body, right? It says, dhīras tatra namuyati. A wise person, a dhīras, right, is not bewildered by this. And you can see we're very bewildered by this. I remember in that Bhagavad Gita class, Badahari said, he says, just recently somebody said, "Oh my God, my uncle just died. How could this have happened?" Right? So it's like we're bewildered when it happened. Of course, we're hurt when it happens. Of course, the shock of it is there. But how could it have happened? The one thing guaranteed that we see everywhere around us, the only thing guaranteed, and the thing that we see 100%, we're bewildered by it. But if we notice, we can see how it's happening all the time, all around us, even in our own life, body after body, right? So a sober person, an intelligent person, a thoughtful person, dhīras, is not bewildered. So that's a good quality of the word dhīras, right? So a wise or serious or grave person, right? And so like that stump, right? It's somebody that's deep, that goes deeper in things, right? Also, dhīras is in the Shiva Purana. There's a sloka that describes Shiva as bold, and he used the word dhīras. So it's like it has many qualities, right? But it also means one who's self-controlled, right? Also connected with tapasya, the next name, and also fully satisfied. So again, these are positive aspects of tamas, right? And the final name we'll finish tonight is, maybe I'll mention it tonight, and then maybe next week we can pick up on this name, because there's so much can be said about tapasya. And I think there may be a previous name early on that also tapasvinī may have also come. I remember giving a long talk about brahmacharini and Parvati doing austerity, because this is a name for Parvati, tapasvinī, she who performs tapasya. Tapasya is austerity, from tapa, which means to burn. By doing austerity, one generates heat. This is the idea. And a tapasvi is one who performs austerity, and tapasvinī is a woman ascetic, a woman who, or lady or female ascetic is tapasvinī, right? Doing penance, right? And so, a lot of these names, she is dhīras and sthirā and dayā, and these names that are required for tapasya. Some of them even referring to types of tapasya, like standing perfectly still, which is one of the tapasyas that Parvati did as brahmacharini. You have this picture of her as one of her pictures where she's standing perfectly still for thousands of years, right? Why? In order to get Shiva as her husband, right? So Parvati, after the disappearance of Sati, Shiva went. What did Shiva do? Shiva, after things calmed down, things got out of control a little bit, if you know the story. When things calmed down, he went into the Himalayas and did tapasya, right? Why was he doing tapasya? Different texts say different things. I'm at present working through the Devi Mahabhagavat Purana, which is a little less known, important Shakta Purana, which has a different version of the stories, which I'm enjoying and important. But in the comments in the story, that he in a certain sense he tries to forget her, he tries to find her as a self of all, right? But the pain of losing her manifested form, he's looking for her and tries to forget her simultaneously to do tapasya. And then we know the story that a demon comes up. Tarakasura can only be killed by the legitimate son of Shiva. Shiva has no wife, and he's meditating in the Himalayas, so that demon is pretty safe. So the gods have to get Shiva to marry again, have a child that will kill Tarakasura and thus save the gods and save the world. The famous story. And so we know this. Many of you know the story where they hire or elicit the help of Kamadev, Cupid, right, to awaken some desire in Shiva's heart, right? and he shoots an arrow into Shiva's heart. He notices deep in his meditation some little flick, a little vritti of desire. And he said, what's happened? He opens his eyes, he sees Kamadev and goes, opens the third eye, burns him to ashes. And we know, and then goes back to meditating. So that's one of the stories, right? Meanwhile, Sati has taken rebirth as in the house of the Himalayas, right? And is doing, and has in her mind, she wants Shiva as a husband. So she's doing austerity, right? So Shiva has already been slightly awakened in this story, right? In the Devi Mahabhagavata Purana, it describes a little different version of the story. In the presence, when he shoots the arrow and he opens his eyes and sees and he burns Kamadev, then he actually sees Parvati, right? Who's also there, right? Kind of like Parvati reveals herself. I am Sati, I am your Shakti, right? And he says, how do I know you're Sati? Right? How do I know you're the same one? It says, there you took on the form of Mahakali and destroyed Daksha's sacrifice. Let me see that form again. And she manifests as Mahakali. And this is this version of the story, right? And a beautiful, important thing. And actually, in the hymn, in this verse, in this section, he actually recites a different Kālī Sahasranāma, right? Which this will be if we ever finish this one, we can start that one. Another 20 years of discussion on Kālī Sahasranāma, right? But anyways, he agrees and he says, okay, I still have to do tapasya to attain you, and you will do tapasya to attain me, right? So she does tapasya to get Shiva as a husband, but Shiva is doing tapasya even after this for 1,000 years in order to attain Parvati as to union with Parvati, right? It's a very beautiful There's in the Shiva Purana, it's one hymn describe praying to Lord Shiva. O Lord of mountains, she will be the wife of Shiva and will remain his favorite always. She will be chaste and good lady of good rights. She will increase the pleasure of her parents, performing the penance. She will performing tapasya. She will fascinate Shiva's mind towards her. Right, he's talking to Himalaya. Your daughter will do tapasya, and by his tapasya, Shiva's mind will go towards her, right? He will marry her at the exclusion of all else. A love akin to this pair will not be found anywhere. Never in the past was it seen, nor will it occur in the future. That's a beautiful. There's never been a love like between Shiva and Parvati. We're accustomed to hearing that she did tapasya to attain him, right? But he did tapasya to attain her. Right, and the real purpose is because we can do a tapasya to get boons from deities and ghosts and spirits and things like this, and get a boon to become, what is it always? The boon is always, nobody be able to kill me, and I'll control the three worlds, the whole thing, the same thing. This is not the real purpose of tapasya. The real purpose of tapasya is to attain spiritual knowledge, spiritual realization, right? One of Devi's epitaphs is, what is it? Devi Upanishad. There's a version of the Devi Shuktamos and Devi Upanishads. It says, what's the word? Tam agnim varanam tapasya jwalantim. She's a color of fire, burning with tapasya. She is tapasya, right? Tapasya Brahma Vignasya Sva. No Brahmins who tapas. This is a verse from the Upanishads, right? The purpose of tapasya is to know the one, to be with the one. So these names are an interesting cluster of names. She who is night, she who is the doer, she who is a protector, she who is the destroyer. Again, she who is night, she who is nighttime, she who is moonlight, right? She who is compassion, she who is stable, she who is that which is stable and secure, and she who performs austerity. So we'll leave it with there tonight. And let me find the verse real quick. Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki jai, Mahamaya ki jai, Swami Maharaj Ji ki jai, Ma Dakshineshwari Bhavatarani Dakshina Kali ki jai. Any comments or questions? Om. favorite response. Jai Mahajan. Hmm? Oh, it has to be you. Tell me.
You said comment, but my comment is that was cool.
Raj,
Yes.
in some Shakta texts there is this aversion to silence and stillness.
What's that?
Emphasis on the dynamic nature of Ma, like for instance, speech, for instance.
Yeah.
Kali Mandir Ramakrishna, an insistence on parāva.
Mm-hmm.
So speech is maintained on the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Or like spadi kinchit chalane, movement is maintained even on the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, in the Shakta tradition, it seems like stillness and silence would be anathema to our
Would be what?
like anathema to the conception of Ma.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here the name is saying sthāṇuḥ.
Yeah.
Stillness. So it seems to me to be a bit of a tension. How can we
Yeah.
describe Ma as still?
Yeah.
The Shakta tradition goes to great pains to reject that.
Well, it doesn't reject it. It describes it right here in 7 names, right? But also the thing is that we sometimes in Shaktism, in some forms of Shaktism, by emphasizing Shakti, we're giving emphasis to the wild aspect, the dynamic aspect, right? And so we have Shiva and Shakti, or Brahman and Shakti, something like this, right? But I think the theological stance of the Kālī Sahasranāma is a higher order Shaktism, is that she is both Shiva and Shakti. She is both Brahman and Shakti. She's Shakti, that she's the reality that takes on both these forms of stillness and motion, or a manifestation and the manifest and unmanifest. You either say, oh, the unmanifest and manifest, and if there's a reality, we assume the unmanifest is the reality, right? But this does not assume that. It assumes that the primary reality is Shakti, that has in her, as we just call it her, in her nature, both aspects. So I think that's one of the ways, right? But also it's like, and maybe also part of this is by saying by sthirā and dhīrā and things like that. She could also be as reference that she's matter. Right? That's another way of thinking that she and that's a common view of Shaktism. She's become the physical world, not only the dynamic things that move in the world, but she's also the solidness of the world. Right? Sri Ramakrishna's great thing about the spider and its web, or something like this, right? The web comes out of the spider, and then the spider moves in it, right? So it's like the Ma has created a world. She is the world that she creates, and then she lives in it. So she's the one that she's kartrī and all these names. She's the one that did it. She's a doer. She's a creator of the world. She is the world she creates, and then she lives in the world she creates. She's playing all the parts, including the non-moving parts. And we all she's a moving and unmoving, chala. You always hear these type of stuff also. The reality behind. But generally, we usually think, and this may be some of the flavor that comes from Vedantic schools, that the reality from which these manifest is somehow another is static, right? But I think, but still with Shakti, there's a dynamic aspect that creates these polarities of static and not static, right? Because I think Stanishrata, he had this wonderful, great definition of Shaktism, is that the absolute is dynamic, right? But we see in the world things that are static. That means she, in her dynamic nature, has done that. It's one of her aspects. Perhaps that's one way to think of it. It's a good question. Om Tat Sat. All right, arati. First, you have to get the joints to work again.
Yeah.
Sthirā. I feel like a stump sometimes. Yeah.
Yep. That. Good. There we go.
A lot of people want more room, but the weather's changing. It's getting warm again. So nice. You can come for that. We built this whole thing.
Raymond, way up there.
Way up here. Come on, guys.
Alright,
front seat.
But not right there, but not right
Am I right here?
there.
You're good. Very good. Sit down. Om Sri Guruvyo Namah Hari Om. Om Gana Bhagavati Gumnavamahi Karindavinam Sarasnavasama Yisrādam Brahmanam Brahmanapapāna Sindhanivitavisarisāryam Andrē Manmahavinarpataye Malasyanarayana Gundamah Sumāmahikārāvya Namaha Vandhiranyagarbhāvya Sundarāya Sridhāvya Sridhāvya Namaha Dhāvya Namaha Vāsridhāvya Devi Vyurudharamangalamangayam Varenyam Viradam Shivam Narayanam Namaskritya Sarva Karmani Kale Om Om Vishnu Om Vishnu Om Vishnu Om Dhal Vishnu Paramam Param Tala Prashanti Saradeva Shakshiratatam Om Apavitra Vitrova Sarvavastam Vitopiva Yashvari Pundari Kaksham Sabhyam Rajasiddhi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Om Om Ahum Swaha Om Ahum Swaha Om Ring 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 Ram Bhadra Mahakala Bhairava Sahita Om Ring Sivajana Kalayarvya Sevi Manavidya Om Yantrājāya Vidmahe Mahāyantrāya Dhimahi Tanno Yantra Prachodayāta Namaha Om Dipāyanam 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 Hum Bang Ring 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 Ramkanti Mahakala Bhairava Sahita Om Ring Simadakshana Khalagala Bhairava Artasevam Darshayami Namaha Dakshina Kali ki Jai Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa Deva ki Jai Jagannatha Sri Sharda Devi ki Jai Yugacharya Swami Vivekananda Maharaji ki Jai Purna Tirtharakyaneshwar Dham ki Namah Parvati Pattaye Har Har
Special guest can come up before you.
Yes.
Babies are the only ones that can pose with mom. Marky, come this side. You can take it with mom. Mom, if you step if you steps a little bit to the side, then you can get baby and ma nicely. Yeah.
Brand new.
You get it? Jai ma. Swami.
Big stretch.
We're following Dakshineshwar tradition. When little baby comes, they always put it at ma's feet.
Sometimes gets handed over the crowd.
Very sweet.
Oh, she's good. Yes.
Very comfortable.
New pujari.
Long, healthy, happy life.
Oh, stretching.
She's
Very
some
happy.
kids cry the whole time. She's
Very happy.
So sleepy.
her eyes. Sleeping at mom's feet.
Like 50 days.
50 days.
50 days.
Yeah, you can take
I
it.
visited here when she was around.
In the womb, yeah. Second visit. Your second visit.
Yes.
You
I think
can
fully
take.
I think she's fully asleep now.
Yeah.
This is the first time somebody's fallen asleep. Stapakaya Charamasya Sarvadharmaswarupine Avatara Harishaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namah Om Janani Sharanam Devi Ramakrishnam Jagadu Parahamedayostritva Pranamami Muguru Shri Ganesha Sharanagravyo Namah Hari Om Radha कालिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते सृष्टिस्थितिविनाशानां शक्तिभूते सनातनी गुणाश्रये गुणामये नारायणी नमोस्तुते शरणागतनियार्थ परित्राणपरायणे सर्वस्यात्रि हरे नारायणी नमोस्तुते जय 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 महामयी की जय जय भगवान श्री राम कृष्ण देव की जय जय स्वामी जी महाराज जी की जय जय माँ दक्षिणेश्वरी भवतारिणी दक्षिण काली की